Independence Day is celebrated across Africa with parades, music, and celebrations. On March, Ghana became the first sub-Saharan country to gain independence from colonial rule. A year later, on June 1960, the Democratic Republic of the Congo followed suit. Within 2 decades, many African nations would follow suit. The wave of independence continued well into the 1970s. But when the wave of independence swept across Africa in the mid-20th century, it was more than the lowering of colonial flags. It was a moment of hope, a dream of freedom, and the promise of self-determination. But the question remained: what does true independence mean? Is it only political, or must it also be economic? Political independence gave African nations sovereignty, the right to govern themselves, to pass their own laws, and to shape their destinies without foreign rulers. It meant Africans could finally speak with their own voice on the world stage. But this new political freedom came with challenges. Borders drawn by colonial powers cut across cultures and communities. Systems of governance had been imposed from outside, leaving little time for African models to evolve. Many young nations struggled with instability, military coups, or authoritarianism. Still, political independence was only the first step. Without economic strength, sovereignty remained fragile. After independence, most African economies remained tied to their colonial past. Nations exported raw materials, gold, oil, cocoa, coffee, while importing manufactured goods at higher prices. This imbalance created a dangerous dependence. When global prices for commodities fell, African economies suffered. Debt grew, poverty deepened, and foreign powers retained influence over the continent's resources. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and Julius Nyerere of Tanzania understood this. They warned that political freedom without economic power was incomplete. True independence meant controlling resources, building industries, and reducing reliance on former colonial masters. In 1963, 32 African nations gathered in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, to form the Organization of African Unity. The OAU was more than a political alliance, it was a vision of continental solidarity. Kwame Nkrumah championed the idea of a United States of Africa, a politically and economically united continent that could stand strong in the global arena. While the dream of a single African government was never fully realized, the OAU laid the foundation for greater cooperation. In 2002, it evolved into the African Union, which today works to strengthen integration, peace, and development across the continent. Yet, challenges remain. Many African nations are still dependent on exports of raw goods, while importing most manufactured products. Multinational companies often profit more from African resources than Africans themselves. Debt, unemployment, and unequal trade relationships continue to limit economic sovereignty. In many ways, Africa is still fighting for the economic independence that was dreamed of at the dawn of political freedom. But a new vision is rising. The African Continental Free Trade Area, launched in 2021, aims to create the largest free trade zone in the world, connecting over 1 billion people across 54 nations. By trading more with each other, African nations can reduce dependence on outside markets, create jobs, and strengthen industries. Young entrepreneurs, innovators, and scientists are driving change from Nairobi's tech hubs to Lagos's creative industries. Renewable energy, digital technology, and agriculture are shaping a new African economy. Now, let's look at some of these stories. In Egypt, the story of independence comes alive through the eyes of an 18-year-old street vendor named Khalil. He dreams of becoming an engineer, but spends his days selling water to tourists in the shadow of the pyramids. Khalal's father told him stories about the struggle for independence from British rule, how men like Gamal Abdel Nasser fought for freedom. Now he looks at the bustling streets around him and wonders if true independence has been achieved. Sure, Egypt is no longer ruled by outsiders. But are Egyptians really free from foreign influence? As he navigates the crowded bazaars, he sees goods made in China, Japan, and even Britain. He can't help but wonder, where are the made in Egypt products? The answer, he realizes, lies in the dusty books he reads by the light of a kerosene lamp. Education is the key to Egypt's future. If young people like himself can get a good education, they can build factories and produce goods that rival those from anywhere in the world. But how can he get a good education when his family struggles to afford basic necessities like food and clothing? Meanwhile, in Nigeria, Zara, a bright and ambitious young woman, works as a journalist. She is determined to make a difference in her country and sees the power of the media as a tool to bring about positive change. But as she investigates corruption and injustice, she faces threats from both the government and powerful business interests. Despite the risks, she presses on, inspired by the courage of her ancestors who fought against colonial rule. One day, she uncovers a major scandal involving the illegal logging of the country's rainforests. With the help of her friends, she exposes the corrupt officials and greedy businessmen responsible for the environmental destruction and social unrest. Her story is one of courage and determination in the face of great odds, driven by a desire for a better future for her country. And then there's Senegal, where the spirit of independence lives on through the vibrant art scene. Young artists like Mansoum, who use their creativity to express their identity and challenge societal norms. Mansoum, a talented musician, uses his music to tell stories of ordinary people and address issues like poverty and inequality. His lyrics are a powerful mix of traditional rhythms and modern beats, and his message resonates with people from all walks of life. But as he gains popularity, he faces opposition from conservative forces who don't appreciate his socially conscious lyrics. Undeterred, Mansoum continues to speak out against injustice and uses his music as a platform to demand a better future for his country. And in South Africa, the story of independence is intertwined with the struggle against apartheid. A young black South African woman named Zama grows up during the height of the oppressive regime. Despite the constant threat of violence and the limitations placed on her people, she dreams of a free and equal society. She finds solace in the vibrant colors of her culture, which she expresses through her paintings. But as her talent becomes known, she faces persecution from the apartheid authorities, who view her art as a form of protest. Zama, along with other activists, organizes secret exhibitions of her work, which becomes a powerful form of resistance against the regime. Her story highlights the resilience and creativity of the human spirit in the face of adversity. These stories show how independence means different things to different people. For some, it's about political freedom from colonial rule. For others, it's about economic independence and control over their own resources. And for many, it's about the freedom to express their identity and challenge injustice. The journey toward true independence is ongoing, but the dream of a better future continues to inspire generations of Africans. As we conclude our discussion on independence, I want to leave you with the words of Ghanaian President Kwame Nkrumah. When we are truly independent, when we control the material resources of our nation and the machinery of our government, and when we can feed, clothe, house, educate, and care for our people, then we shall be truly free. These words remind us that independence is not just a political milestone, but a continuous journey toward freedom and prosperity for all. It is a call to action for us to work toward a future where every African has the opportunity to reach their full potential and contribute to the development of their country. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the stories of independence. Remember that the true meaning of independence is not just about celebrating the past, but using the lessons from history to shape a better future. Let us continue to work toward a world that values freedom, equality, and justice for all. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and stay hopeful.